Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another BKFC Reddit Ask Me Anything, another Ice Wars editions. We're joined by AJ Galante. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. Excited to get on board.
I know at one point you were the president, and you're sick, and I appreciate you do it. Like, it sucks to do interviews when you're sick, but you're a legend for doing it. What is your current title? What's your current role with the company?
Hey, listen, basically, I kind of say TCB, taking care of business, whatever is needed, man. I really, Charlie Nama, who you had on, who's majority partner with Ice Wars, him and I kind of started this back in 2022. We had a couple trial shows, took a hiatus, came back stronger than ever now, obviously, with the collaboration with BKFC. And we got a lot of new team members, which I'm super excited to have on board. I'm basically I say like I'm in the trenches, man. I like to be in the trenches with the guys. I talk to I call them Ice Warriors. I talk to them all basically daily, seeing what they're doing, how their training is, how, I'm a wrestling promoter at heart. I should have, Vince McMahon was a hero of mine. So, you know, it's, it's, it's one of those got to be characters, right? So, developing their quote character, for the weigh-ins, the entrances, all that stuff. But I'm doing a lot of the matchmaking, me and John Morasti. But I've kind of taken the ball with a lot of the matchmaking and presenting, the matches and stuff, and even right down to working a ranking system, just everything. This is really there's been under 5 shows, you know what I mean? So we're really creating a lot from scratch still.
Let's talk matchmaking. So, like, the one thing, it's weird because, like, as someone who knew nothing coming in, you always hear like, "Oh, I'll fight anybody anytime," and then like I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, I was offered this guy, but he said no a million times." Do you struggle with that as a matchmaker? Like, hey, this would be a great fight, but your hockey guys go like, "Oh, I'm not on that guy's level yet," or are the hockey guys like, "Look, I don't give a shit, I want to fight."
It's a mix of both, man. I mean, I've been in the boxing business now for 15 years. I had a gym here in Danbury. I promote fights, I promote fighters, I manage fighters, and just like I said, TCB, just a little bit of everything. And hockey guys are way easier than boxers. I'll say that. I mean, it's some of these hockey guys don't even realize they're getting paid, and they're like, "I'll just do it for free." I'm like, "No, no, no, you're not doing it for free, man." You know what I mean? Hockey guys are a lot easier to deal with. But I've been thrown in the fire with boxing for years, and you learn so much. Um, Listen, I mean, again, everything is literally from scratch. I mean, we have 5 divisions. Um, some of the guys that are fighting in Michigan and Edmonton on the 28th, they're returners from a few years ago. But a lot of these guys, this is their first time out. And with combat sports, there's always a talk of, who's an A side guy, who's a B side guy. All these fights are pretty much 50-50. But it's my job as matchmaker or whatever you want to call me. I look out for all the guys. I don't like to see guys get, there's a couple times where you can make a fight easily because there are guys that really want to get in there no matter what. But I would never put a guy in danger where I'm not sure what they have, what they don't. It's one thing with boxers, there's a lot of footage of them. Ice Wars has only been a few shows, so and it's different from traditional hockey fights, man. I mean, traditional hockey fights are a little easier than this. Ice Wars is difficult. So, you know, I always try to look out for everyone's well-being. I always try to put together 50-50 fights and yeah, just keep building it. But it's my job to sell it to them, explain why this fight is good, what this could do for you, win, lose, or draw. One thing I hate about boxing is the best doesn't fight the best, because if you lose in boxing,
Yeah.
it's like you're damaged goods, you're discarded. I tell all these guys, look, I know everyone's goal is they want to win. Not everyone's going to win. If you lose, you're not going to be at the bottom of the barrel. We're going to keep working with you. As long as everyone's safe and everyone's healthy, I'm always going to give a guy a shot, even if they lose. I mean, I've dealt with boxers that took some tough losses and no one wanted anything to do with them. It's hard to watch. So I just try to take a lot of my knowledge from previous experiences, the past decade and a half, and more or less, here in Ice Wars.
It's interesting because we've talked to quite a few fighters, and it's sort of the same thing. They say, look, you don't want to put your record on the line, but also like we need to normalize losing. Like losing happens. Like someone is guaranteed to lose every fight, and it needs to stop being like, oh, this person lost, they're washed up, they're bummed. You hear that right now with like Mike Perry with the Jake Paul thing. Like it makes no sense, and it needs to be kind of normalized. Like people lose, but it doesn't mean their career's over.
I think you know what the problem is, and again, I'm speaking. Look, I'm not. I know BKFC is part of Ice Wars now, and but I've been a boxing guy for like 15 years. So the problem with boxing is, okay, the networks. Networks love the whole somebody's O's gotta go thing. They love the undefeated guy versus undefeated guy. That's what they live for. Look, the reality is, I mean, I could take a kid. I got a kid in the gym right now who's about 22, about to go pro boxing. We can invest a couple bucks. We can get him down to Costa Rica and get him 10 fights like that, be 10-0, and go for a payday. You know what I mean? And it's unproductive. I mean, you're 100% right. These kids today, they just want to take the easy routes. And they're, first of all, combat sports, there is no easy routes, but they want to take the easy career routes, the easy fights, just to get that one crack at something. And then they're not built for it. They're not ready for it. They lose. So you made a couple bucks for nothing, and that's it. Muhammad Ali, arguably the greatest fighter ever, has losses. Mike Tyson has losses. I think the ranking systems in a lot of these combat sports is an issue too. There's really no transparency with it. Why? A few years ago when we started Ice Wars, I was working almost like, my dad is actually a big NASCAR fan, and I like how NASCAR does it with the point system, depending on where you finish. And there are obviously some, there's some handicaps here and there, but I would love to go, and I was starting to design it before we took a hiatus. I would love to go to a point system where there's no questions why this guy has so many points and vice versa. Rankings are really shady, and there's no rhyme or reason to it half the time. So that's also part of the problem.
It's kind of weird. Like I see with BKFC, like the rankings that BKFC puts out, I don't feel like those are the rankings that like Dave Feldman and those guys like have. I feel like they have their own rankings, because sometimes you're like, how the hell is this guy? So I wasn't sure if your guys' rankings were similar, but I like the idea of, like you said, like it's out there, it's open, everybody knows. There's no like, oh, we're secretly pulling for this guy. You know what I mean? Like I think it's a brilliant idea with the point system.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, we're a combat sport from, like, when me and Charlie started this, it was literally from scratch. We were writing on pieces of paper, like we were figuring. So we're gonna have some hiccups, and we're gonna figure it as we go. But I'm all about transparency. I'm all about people like. I'm a guy in life, like, I don't mind taking no for an answer. Like, if someone tells me no, but I just want to know why. A lot of these rankings, you ask yourself, and I'm speaking from a boxing point of view. I'm not really too familiar with BKFC's ranking system and stuff, but I know in boxing, first of all, there's 37 different, sanctioning bodies, and that's a whole nother story. But yeah, it's just about figuring out how to make it all work, and it's going to be a learning process, but I really want us to be different and transparent for fans, and I think fans would appreciate it and get more on board with it.
So we talked to Charlie. He said he sees 6 to 8 events for this first year, and then like I think he said over 18 next year. Is it going to be difficult finding appropriate? Like how hard is it going to be to find fighters for like 18 events?
Well, listen, I mean, it's look, we definitely, Charlie, myself, the whole team in general, we want to be aggressive, right? Having BKFC in our corner just helps us tremendously in a lot of ways. But, I think everything's subject to change. I think yeah, I mean, we have a pretty large roster right now. We're pushing, God, I want to say we're pushing 75 to 100 guys right now.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we have a large roster. The problem is a lot of the guys are current hockey players. So when the winter comes, October, November, a lot of these guys are playing. How will that play out for us with events? I don't know. So it's like I said, it's kind of going to be like a learning curve, but it is amazing to me how many boxers, MMA guys, BKFC guys that have reached out and be like, he was a first love of mine. I know how to skate. It's unbelievable. And it's exciting when you get guys from other combat sport genres that know how to even skate. I mean, there's a couple of boxers in my gym, pretty high level pros that said, hey, I'm going to start learning how to skate. I want to try this once. You know what I mean? And, it's just about growing it, being strategic. And we'll figure it out. Listen. I'll never BS you, man. I mean, a lot of this we're learning as we go still.
So you guys recently signed two big former UFC guys. You have the Devin Gibson coming over from BKFC. How important is the crossover? And I think it's insane that you have former UFC guys that go like, "This is what I want to do. I want to go out on the ice and fight."
Listen, I mean, I could say Devin Gibson. I got to give Charlie a lot of credit. I didn't really know too much about him at knew him from Sarnia or whatever, and got him on board. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's like UFC. I mean, if you look at and again, I'll be very honest, I'm not really a huge UFC guy, but if you look at their origins, a lot of the concept was bringing in all these different martial arts and things together. It is really amazing to me how many MMA guys, boxers even, that, like I just said, love hockey. Hockey's such an under the radar sport, man. I mean, I guess you could consider it one of the major sports still in the country, but it's kind of lower on the totem pole than like baseball, basketball, football. But hockey's popular, man. Even going back to my Trasher days 20 years ago, I mean, a lot of tough guys, they love hockey, man, and it's a perfect fit.
So this is US versus Canada. I can't lie. Like, I've been interviewing all these Canadian guys. Like, I'm going to be rooting for half these Canadian guys. Like, it's one of those things. Like, you don't want to like cheer for the opposite guys, but man, like, there's so many nice guys. Like Big Snake. Like, what a freaking awesome guy that guy is.
I mean, like I said, when you build a promotion, I mean, it's a lot like building any other team. You got guys that you want to build behind, and a guy like Catlin Big Snake, I mean, you look at this guy, he's a behemoth. It's like a refrigerator on ice skates, and he can skate. That's the crazy thing. And but yeah, it's tough. Even for myself, my job again, I'm not supposed to have favorites, obviously. I try to match everyone evenly. I try to look out for everybody. Obviously, some matchups there's going to be more guys favored than others, but anything could happen, man. That's the thing about hockey. A lot like BKFC. It just takes one shot, and being on skates, it's a whole different thing, man. I mean, you're taller naturally. The balance is different. And cardio. I tell a lot of these guys who've reached out to me, hey, what do you know about the past events where guys struggled and didn't struggle? I say cardio. So I don't care how much muscle you have. I don't care how much of a chin you have. If you don't have the cardio, those 1 minute rounds, I know it sounds quick, but those 1 minute rounds on ice is it's an eye opener for a lot of different guys.
We talked to Mr. Diamond Hands the other day. He said the one thing that's crazy, like you said about the cardio, he said in these fights, you're holding on to a guy, you're jerking him, you don't get away from him. He said there's no time to rest. So he said it sounds like you said 1 minute is not very long, but he goes, you're working the entire time and you will absolutely be spent.
I mean, absolutely. If you look at I don't want to say real hockey fights. If you look at the sport of hockey, when there are fights, I believe the average fight during games is like 12 seconds to 15
Sure.
seconds. So 1 minute for a lot of these guys, and look, in a real hockey game where there's fights, a lot of it's adrenaline, something happened. And this is totally different, man. You're in your corner, the air horn or the bell goes. And like Amesy said, you're constantly working, you're holding guys off. There's so many and that's what I'm hoping we can highlight in time. This isn't like, no disrespect, but this isn't like power slap. You know what I mean? No disrespect to them. But,
Sure.
Hockey fights, there is a skill, there's an art to it that a lot of people don't know. I mean, if you just watch it from the surface, it's just two guys holding and punching. But the reality is there are so many, and Diamond Hands is a perfect example. He does little things in his fights it's like the sweet science, man. It's like little things. So it is really difficult. And that's why I'm super excited. Guys like Devin Gibson and, Boom Kelleher and, Rosa, we just signed. Like, I'm really excited for them to get into this because they'll be able to tell the masses, like, listen, this is no joke, man. This is a lot harder than you may think.
How important do you think it is? You're teamed up with BKFC now. How much would you love to see some of your hockey fighters go do like a BKFC fight? Like I talked to Big Snake, he said like it's on the wish list, but he doesn't know. The Laporte twins said like, yeah, that's something they definitely are interested in. I feel like the crossover promotion is going to be huge for this sport.
It's the perfect marriage, man, because honestly, like you said, these guys are fighters in general. And the bare knuckle thing doesn't scare a hockey guy because in a hockey game, you are bare knuckle. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
that thing doesn't really deter them. It is a perfect crossover, in my opinion. I mean, in a perfect world, this would have to be down the line, but imagine a big arena where you got the BKFC pit on one side and then the rink on the other. I mean, it is the perfect crossover. Um, I would say 9 out of 10 guys involved with Ice Wars on our roster would fit into BKFC like a glove, and that's why I think it's a perfect marriage.
Okay, so I like to get questions sent in. So somebody sent in this question. He says, "Ask him what his favorite Taylor Swift song is because he's a huge fan and he loves the Chiefs." Do you know who sent that question in?
Oh boy, yeah, that might be Amesbury. To be honest with
It
you,
wasn't
yeah.
Amesbury.
No, it wasn't. It
No, it
was
was. Yeah.
that cock. Listen, he no, I'm a Raiders fan, and the Chiefs, I mean, that's my mortal enemy. And Taylor Swift, this maniac Amesbury and a friend of mine, they I don't know where they found these guys, where they for my birthday last year, they got a group of these guys who do these like cameos, sung me a Taylor Swift song. It was super disturbing, but yeah, I knew that had to be Amesy, and I think that's just revenge for the maple syrup cracks I always send at him.
Yeah, he was really wound up about that maple syrup question you sent in, like super upset about it.
Listen, Diamond Hands legitimately, not just on the ice, but off the ice, is literally one of the toughest men I've ever known. But I tell you what, man, the maddest I ever see him is when you bring up maple syrup. It's the funniest thing, and I will continue to badger him about it. And yeah, man, he's a maniac.
So we don't have a ton of time today, but you were on that Untold Crimes and Penalties. I loved it. There's so many things I want to bring up down the line. But the one thing that I took away from you said you're a big numbers guy. Like what is it about numbers? Like I saw you crunching numbers and figured like analytics seems to be super important to you. Tell me about that.
Well, listen, thank you for watching, by the way, and the support. It means a lot to me, everyone who's watched that documentary on Netflix. But you know, I do love numbers. I do love analytics. Math was my favorite subject, obviously, growing up. But to be honest with you, I had to get into analytics 20 years ago, when I was a 17-year-old president of this team, the Trashers, because no GMs, no scouts, no one was talking to us. I couldn't get anyone that wanted to deal with the Danbury Trashers 20 years ago. We were public enemy number one, me and my father, and no one was looking to help us out. So, traditionally you could go to scouts or fellow GMs, like, hey, what do you think about this guy? And they'll tell you. So I had to start making up my own like way of scouting guys. There was no YouTube back then, no social media. So I had to find ways and patterns to like scout guys. It was so bizarre. But no, I love analytics. I think the old saying, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie, right? So um I'm big on numbers. I actually would love, we were talking before we got on the air. I would love Ice Wars to really have a nice analytical department because I think fans love stats. I love stats. I do a lot of fight reviews on my Danbury Trashers Instagram. People send me fights, and I literally have the old school boxing punch counter, and I'm counting punches and lands, and I love it, man. And I think it tells a story. I think, honestly, I especially with AI nowadays, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these combat sports eventually do away with judges and find a way to use analytics. I know it sounds crazy, but I would trust AI before some of these judges anyway. So who knows where it's going?
You're a very self-made guy, with the hockey and you and Charlie starting out with this and then what fueled that passion? Like what made you go like I mean like I said 17-year-olds GM of a hockey team. Like where did you get all this like motivation to be such a self-made dude?
Well, first of all, I really truly appreciate you saying that. I don't believe in self-made. I was very fortunate growing up. I had a father. I had my both my parents, but my father provided so many opportunities for me. Um, Most of them I didn't even deserve or earn, like the Trashers. He just told me one day I'm going to be running a team. So I swear to God, that's how it went basically. And you know, I got very lucky. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I got very lucky. But what I've learned in life is you don't judge someone based on what they're given. You judge what they do with what they're given. And I take a lot of pride in anything my name's attached to. Legacy means a lot to me. Legacy means more to me than money. And if someone trusts me enough to put me in a situation to lead, listen, man, you hand the ball to me, I'm going to run. I'm going to run through people for you. I may gain a yard, I may lose a yard, I may gain no yards, but I never fumble. And that's one thing I take pride in. And my motivation, honestly, was to prove a lot of doubters wrong, like a lot of people, like a lot of fighters. They get doubted. And look, I was very lucky growing up, given a lot of opportunity, and I just didn't want to embarrass my family. I didn't want them to be like, "Oh, you gave this idiot kid a team, and look what he did with it." Um, same thing. Charlie is a very special person to me because for whatever the reason, he saw something in me. We connected after the documentary came out, and I didn't want to rest on the documentary, man. I didn't want, hey, we had a documentary come out, great. I wanted to take that momentum and how do we invest our energy into something special, something different. And when Charlie came to Danbury, man, in the fall of 2021, and he told me this idea, it's like my eyes like lit up, and I'm like, this is it, man. And I remember where I was when I thought of the name Ice Wars, and we just did it. So, I'm very loyal, and anyone who's taking a chance on me, I will lose sleep over making sure I never disappoint them.
You are a very polarizing person. I got messages about what a dirtbag you are. I mean, and I sent them to you. I think it's funny. What do you enjoy more? Like proving the people that love you, like proving them right, or proving the haters wrong?
Here's what I've learned, and I've learned this in sales with other stuff I do in life. You got three markets, okay? You got people that love you no matter what you're selling, and they will buy whatever you're selling, no matter what. Sometimes unreasonably, they just love you for whatever reason. Then you got people, the polar opposite. No matter what you're selling or saying or doing, they're going to not buy what you're selling no matter what. You could have a cure for cancer. They hate you. They don't want to hear you. You suck. Then you got the middle that go back and forth, and they could go either way. I try to focus my energy on rewarding the people that believe in me and also that middle demographic that can go either way. I try not to spend my energy on haters because, frankly, you're not going to win them over anyway. And you're not going to please everyone. I mean, there's not enough hours, there's not enough years in your life where you could sit down. Think about your life, man. I mean, when you gain someone's trust and vice versa, it takes time. We don't have enough years in our life to meet with every person in the world and prove to them you're a good guy. Um, so yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, if everyone liked me, I think I'd be a little scared of that because I think if it's one extreme, one or the other, that something's wrong. But I was always look, I'm a wrestling guy. I'm a wrestling fan. I still watch wrestling like every day of the week. And I've always been a heel. I've always been my dad gave me this team. Look, I knew I was gonna get shit for it. What 17-year-old gets to it? Everyone was gonna, oh, he's a spoiled kid, he sucks, he's no good. So I said to myself, I know I'm not that person, but if people are gonna give me that anyway, I might as well play it up. So I almost created a wrestling character almost to help with this promotion. And combat sports have proven too. People will pay to watch you lose. And if I'm just an extension of whatever I'm involved with, if they want to see me fail for whatever the reason, hey, as long as you're paying the money, that's all right with us.
All right, I got a couple short questions I've been asking the hockey players. What is your favorite hockey movie?
Oh, Mighty Ducks. I mean, that's what got me the first Mighty Ducks, early 90s. There was no hockey in Danbury when I grew up, and I saw this movie on a rainy Saturday with my mom and sister, and I became hooked to hockey. I didn't even know where to go from there. There was no rink. There was no hockey equipment store. And without the Mighty Ducks, I don't know if I'm sitting here, to be honest with you.
Okay. What, growing up, like you found hockey a little later, but who was your favorite enforcer growing up?
Oh, man. So I'm a New Jersey Devils fan. And unfortunately, the Devils never had that one marquee enforcer like a Diamond Hands Daniel Amesbury. Like, we didn't have that one guy. Obviously, when I got into hockey, Bob Probert was a guy that I mean, that's a bad boy right there. But I always liked the little runts that got under everyone's skin, like Matthew Barnaby, Rob Ray, the little underdog guys that would fight the heavyweights and not care. And
Sure.
we got a lot of Ice Warriors like that. I've always gone after those little underdogs that seem to get under everyone's skin.
Okay, and then the last question I always ask people the very first time they're on my show: do you remember the first time you got in a street fight? The first time you punched somebody in anger, not a relative?
That's a good question. Me and my cousins had a couple go arounds here and there as a young kid, but I think sixth grade. Sixth grade, we're in lunch, and let me watch how I word this because this is 2025. But back in those days, there wasn't a lot of guys in the choir club. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And nothing wrong with choir, by the way. But somebody, the music teacher came in and spoke at lunch and said, "Hey, we're putting a choir together. Sign up." Basically all girls. And then some idiot put my name down. And at the end of lunch, he was reading everyone off, and it was like, "Oh, Mary and Denise and AJ Galante." I don't know why that crossed me. Like my wires got crossed. I lost it. And his name was Ryan. I don't want to give his last name, but I remember who it was. And I lost it on him. And that's all she wrote, man. That's one I always remember. That was one that really got me.
That's awesome. Well, listen, I plan on going to this event. I think it's going to be huge. I'm looking forward to see, like I said, this is going to blow up, and the fact that BKFC is having you guys on the app, I think is going to be huge for you guys, and I just can't wait to see how big this thing gets.
Yeah, I'm super excited too. It's it's our job to just keep working around the clock to not disappoint anyone, and bear with us. It's only the fourth event technically, and we're just going to keep this thing moving and getting better each time.
I think it's funny that the guys are already messaging me for the Edmonton one. Hey, I want to be on your show. I said, look, I can't have you on until they announce anything. Well, trust me, I'm going to be on, and I want to do it. Like people are already amped up about it. I think that they're
I
excited
know
for the
it's
next
it's
one.
it's exciting, man, and it's so great to see like the fighters, because it gets them going, man, and for a lot of them, it's just like it's big for them, and that's what makes me happy, and we just want to deliver for all of them.
All right. Do you have any message for the fans? Any shout outs? Anything you'd like to get out there before we call it a day?
Hey, no, I mean, I appreciate the opportunity. I hope to be back. I mean, we got a lot coming. Like I said, 2 shows in 3 weeks, so it's been madness. I mean, I'm literally working on the Edmonton show as we speak. You know what I mean? And just like notes everywhere. It's like a madhouse in here, but it's gonna be great, man. I really think it's worth giving us a shot if you don't know anything about us, and it's just gonna keep getting better and better. I promise that.
All right, AJ Galante, thank you so much for your time, and I can't wait to chat with you again. Thank you, man.
Thank you, brother. See ya.
Say it. Bye.